traditional French apple tart looks impressive when whole, but it's fussy to make and often falls apart when cut. Our version is easier to make, it slices neatly and boasts all of the elegance of the original. For the crust, adjust one oven rack to the lowest position and a second rack 5 to 6 inches from the broiler element. Heat the oven to 350 degrees. Whisk the flour, sugar, and salt together in a bowl until combined. Add the melted butter and stir with a wooden spoon until a dough forms. Using your hands, press 2/3 of the dough into the bottom of a 9-inch tart pan with a removable bottom. Press the remaining dough into the fluted sides of the pan. Press and smooth the dough with your hands to an even thickness. Place the pan on a wire rack set in a rimmed baking sheet and bake on the lowest rack, rotating the pan halfway through baking until the crust is deep golden brown and firm to the touch, 30 to 35 minutes. Set the crust aside until ready to fill. For the filling, cut 5 apples lengthwise into quarters and cut each quarter lengthwise into 4 slices. Melt 1 tablespoon of butter in a 12-inch skillet over medium heat. Add the apple slices and water and toss to combine. Cover and cook, stirring occasionally until the apples begin to turn translucent and are slightly pliable, 3 to 5 minutes. Transfer the apples to a large plate. Spread the apples into a single layer and set them aside to cool. Do not clean the skillet. While the apples cook, microwave the apricot preserves until fluid, about 30 seconds. Strain the preserves through a fine mesh strainer into a small bowl, reserving the solids. Set aside 3 tablespoons of the strained preserves for brushing the tart. Cut the remaining 5 apples into 1/2-inch thick wedges. Melt the remaining 2 tablespoons of butter in the now empty skillet over medium heat. Add the remaining apricot preserves, reserved apricot solids, apple wedges, and salt. Cover and cook, stirring occasionally until the apples are very soft, about 10 minutes. Mash the apples with a potato masher to form a puree. Continue to cook, stirring occasionally until the puree is reduced to 2 cups, about 5 minutes. Transfer the apple puree to the baked tart shell and smooth the surface. Select the 5 thinnest slices of sautéed apple and set them aside. Starting at the outer edge of the tart, arrange the remaining slices, tightly overlapping them in concentric circles. Bend the reserved slices to fit in the center. You may have extra slices after arranging the apples. Bake the tart, still on the wire rack and baking sheet, on the lowest rack for 30 minutes. Remove the tart from the oven and heat the broiler. While the broiler heats, warm the reserved preserves in a microwave until fluid, about 20 seconds. Brush them evenly over the surface of the apples. To ensure that the outer ring of the pan releases easily from the tart, avoid getting apricot glaze on the crust. Broil the tart, checking every 30 seconds and turning as necessary until the apples are attractively caramelized, 1 to 3 minutes. Let the tart cool for at least 1.5 hours. Remove the outer metal ring of the tart pan, slide a thin metal spatula between the tart and pan bottom, and carefully slide the tart onto a serving platter. Cut into wedges and serve. The tart is best served the day it is assembled.